Oh, yes, and Commissioner Tease, it looks like as well, right?
Present.
All right, so why don't we, and is Ms. Photo on?
I'm here, Mayor, yes.
Okay. So why don't we call the meeting of the Board of Public Works to order on Tuesday, June 30, 2020. As chair of the Board of Public Works, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are first providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We're utilizing WebEx through the city's IT department for this electronic meeting. All members of the Board of Public Works have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform. And the public has access to contemporaneously listen to this meeting through dialing the following number: area code 978-990-5298, and by using the access code 273974. The public may also view this meeting on Comcast Channel 16. Second, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting through public posting. Instructions have also been provided to the City of Nashua's on the City of Nashua's website at www.nashuanh.gov and publicly noticed at City Hall and at the Department of Public Works at 9 Riverside Drive. Third, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem accessing the meeting via phone or channel 16, please call area code 603-821-2049 and they will help you connect. Fourth, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting via phone, the phone number mentioned before, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes are to be taken during this meeting shall be by roll call. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, they should state why they are not physically present for the meeting and state whether there is anyone in the room with you during the meeting. Both things being required under the right to know law. So I think Ms. Director Photo is going to take the attendance, correct?
You're on mute.
John, just,
I'm present and I am not physically in the meeting because of the social distancing requested in the governor's orders, and I am alone in the room.
Commissioner Tease.
Present, and due to the current pandemic, I am found it that I should not attend the meeting in person. I am in my office and alone.
Commissioner Pappas.
I am not attending in person due to the pandemic, and I am in a room by myself.
Commissioner Moriarty.
Yes, I am here in my office by myself due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Commissioner Schmidt.
I'm present and attending remotely because of the governor's emergency order. And I am alone in this room in my house.
All right, we have a full board. Everybody is in attendance. Is there a motion on the agenda as presented?
I will. And Mr. Mayor, so to make uncomfortable silence, to lessen the uncomfortable silences, I'm willing to read the first page of the agenda. So I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a discussion? Ms. Fota, could you please call the roll?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Motion passes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works, the last meeting of May 28, 2020?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works meeting of May 28th, 2020.
And that was not the most recent meeting. I'm sorry, I misstated that. So the motion is to approve the minutes of May 20. Any discussion on that motion? Director Photo, could you please call the roll?
Certainly. Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Motion passes. Is there a motion regarding the minutes of June 3rd, 2000?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works special meeting of June 3rd, 2020.
Any discussion? Director Photo, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Motion passes. The next item is a request from PAL.
I'll move
I
to
think there's
approve
someone, I think there's someone from PAL on the meeting, but could we get the motion and then we'll hear from them?
Okay. I'll move to approve the request from Nashua Police Athletic League to waive disposal fees at the Fort Hills landfill for the renovation of PAL's Youth Safe Haven facility is outlined in the letter dated June 22, 2020.
Is there someone from PAL that's part of the meeting? I think I see, well, is there someone from PAL who's part of the meeting?
Yes, Sean Nelson is here on the call.
Sean Nelson, Director of PAL, thank you very much. So could you review what this is about?
Surely. So thanks for having me today. The letter request essentially is to hopefully waive fees, which would normally be assessed for contractors to dump at the Fort Hills landfill. And for the folks that have never heard of Building on Hope before, Nashua PAL applied for and received a grant, which is essentially a group of contractors, designers, electricians. There are hundreds of New Hampshire-based companies that are involved in a major renovation for one nonprofit in the state of New Hampshire every other year, and they chose Nashua PAL for this most recent renovation. And the way that this project really works is they don't supply cash for this project, but we will receive essentially, we're looking at $1.2 million renovation to the building at a cost of probably somewhere around $200,000. And the way that that really works is we ask a lot of folks in the community to take a little piece. We're hoping that in addition to the Board of Aldermen who had waived already the permit fees for the volunteer companies who pull permits for this project, that we could also request a waiver of the waste fees related to this project, which will be happening over the next 2 to 3 months.
Any questions or comments by members of the commission?
A couple of I'm sorry, a couple of questions and a couple of comments and then a question. Certainly, I think this is a great project, and I certainly will support this, but I'm just hoping just if the director can just give us an idea, or if the solid waste superintendent, just how much this is, just out of curiosity.
So that's a good
If
question.
anyone has a sense.
That's a good question, Commissioner Pappas. And I don't really know the answer to that. It really depends on how much material we receive. And I know that they're doing a lot of demolition. And there's going to be a combination of, C&D, trash, some concrete and bricks. So it could be a fair amount of material, but I honestly have no sense of what the total amount will be. What we certainly could do, though, is provide the board with updates as the material comes in.
Okay. Okay. Because I do remember when we let the Y dump, I think we had a dollar figure, but I understand time is of the essence. But yeah, I mean, in the solid waste superintendent's not here on the call. Does he have any idea?
I don't think he.
It would depend on the tonnage.
Yeah, it depends. I'm the one that's been dealing with this. So if it's 10 to 12 containers, they're probably on average, maybe, Jeff, 25 tons a piece.
Yeah.
Depending upon it, roughly, maybe.
Yeah, roughly
Okay.
that.
I'm guessing somewhere in there. So if you're assuming that it's all, let's just assume that it's all MSW. Of course, the C&D would be more, would be 90. Trash would be 80. So that's on the high side. It would probably be the value. It's probably roughly around $25,000 to $30,000 maybe worth of disposal, somewhere in there, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's far less than what we had approved for the Y, and we didn't. Yeah. So and I think that these folks certainly do provide an invaluable service to the city. I was just curious. That's all. And I thank the gentleman for coming and giving the presentation. Thank you.
If that changes, Commissioner Pappas, I will certainly let the board know.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I want to say that it was close to $75,000 or $95,000 the last time we did it. So that's why I was just curious as to what it was, what the guesstimate was. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Question? All right, could Ms. Foto, could you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Mayor Donches?
Yes.
Commissioner Tease?
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas?
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty?
Yes.
Commissioner Schoeneman?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Nelson, and good luck with the project. When does it begin?
We are fully entrenched. We started this week, so we're here.
And what do you think the completion date is?
We're hoping for a Halloween. This last coat of paint is up, but we will see. Based on CDC regulations, the project is just extended. So we'll keep you all posted.
Okay.
Oh, terrific.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
All
If
right.
I could ask a question just on the process of, so maybe I'll connect with Ms. Foto after this, but just what do I tell my folks they should tell?
Sure, we can talk about that offline, Sean.
Okay.
We'll just need to know information on when they're coming in and the hauler and that sort of thing. But you can either connect with either myself or Jeff LaFleur, the superintendent.
Will do. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you.
Next are aldermanic referrals. We have R20-040.
I'll recommend a positive review of R20-040, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to borrow from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services State Revolving Loan Fund an additional amount not to exceed $2,500,000 for pump station upgrades.
Mr. Boucher, could you explain this one, please?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, thank you. David Boucher, wastewater superintendent. We have a project to upgrade 13 of our pump stations throughout the city in 2 phases. We're currently finishing the first phase, and we are using state revolving fund money. It's estimated that we'll need to borrow more money from the state to cover the cost of phase 2. So phase 1 is to do 6 pump stations. Phase 2 is the remaining 7. So we just want to make sure we have enough money to cover phase 2. Make sure we have enough money to borrow from the state.
And do you know what the interest rate is on these?
Yes, it's 2%.
Pardon?
2%.
Okay. Thank you. Does anybody have any comments or questions?
Maybe just an explanation for the public. I know how important it is to keep up these pump stations, but maybe just a quick explanation as to why we have to do it.
Sure. Some of these pump stations date back to the 60s. Some of them are very deep. They only have 1 pump. So if that 1 pump fails, we have the potential of having sewer back up into the streets. Some of these stations receive high flow with a lot of rags and need a different style pump to break up the rags so they don't clog. So all these pump stations will be getting 2 pumps. Some of the pumps will be brought above ground, the ones that are very deep. We have some that go down 20 feet below ground. So they'll be getting a building above ground, which will make it easier for the wastewater staff to service them and maintain them without having to go below ground. That's the biggest part. Some of our existing buildings that have generators that need to be replaced, they're aged. But mainly all the pumps, we purchased some new pumps. I brought them to the board already. Those pumps will be used with some of the upgrades. So we are maintaining, when we bought new pumps, they're the same kind of pumps that were going to be spec'd out in the upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
So and they're also getting new controls as well. It's important that we get good communications to feed back to the wastewater plant so we know when there's an alarm so we can respond in a timely fashion. So that's being updated also. We're tying into the fiber line on the poles because in some locations we have bad communications. So that's all being upgraded as well.
Thank you. I obviously, I think that people realize it's a need because I don't think anyone wants to see sewerage on their city streets. So thank you so much for that explanation.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Director Photo, could you please call the roll?
Yeah, yes, Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Motion passes. We're on to solid waste. Item A.
A move to approve the cooperative service agreement between the City of Nashua and the USDA Wildlife Management Service not to exceed $80,462.98 for fiscal year 21. Funding for this agreement is through Department 168 Solid Waste Fund, Solid Waste Account Classification 53, Professional and Technical Services.
So who's going to explain this item? Is it Ms. Director Photo or Mr. LaFleur?
I'll let
I can do it.
Superintendent LaFleur.
Mr. LaFleur on here? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. This is our sure. This is our contract with the gull people. They scare the birds away from the landfill. They also go around scaring away any turkey vultures within the city that have become nuisance problems. They take care of any rodents along the landfill. They've been doing it for well over 20 years now with the city, and they do an exceptional job.
Discussion, questions? All right,
I have a question.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Mr. LaFleur, could you explain a little bit? There was a little bit in the materials about how exactly they scare away the birds and rodents, which I agree is pretty important.
Sure. They,
including up to and including firearms. Is that what I read?
yes. They're trained professionals. They're out here in our landfill. They use pyrotechnics to scare away the seagulls and the turkey vultures off of our landfill when it's operating. They are permitted, as well as I am through the city, to take up to 200 seagulls a year and 75 turkey vultures a year. Now, they don't do that unless the birds absolutely won't leave the landfill. They try the pyrotechnics. They try scaring them off, with noises and just their presence being around the landfill. If those birds tend to stick around and they will not leave the landfill, that's when they have to take them. They fill out all our depredation permits and everything through the state. So they do a lot of clerical work for us also.
And if the birds will absolutely not leave, they shoot them.
They dispatch them, right? They're permitted to do that.
Okay, so nobody is upset by the discharge of firearms around the landfill, around the residences?
Nope, we haven't had, they're pretty used to it. It's been going on for years and years, like I've said. Every now and then we'll have a complaint, but we'll go over and explain what's happening, and most of the time the residents are great with it.
Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Director Photo, could you please call the roll?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Sorry, yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item B,
I'll move to approve spending up to $4,000 from Public Works Asbestos Site Expendable Trust Fund to pay for health and safety related items and worksite supplies for the asbestos disposal site team. Funding for this department is through 168 Solid Waste Fund, account category 61, supplies and materials.
discussion? Well, first, Mr. LaFleur, could you address this, please?
Yes, sir. This request, even though it's such a small amount, well, not a small amount, but only $4,000, we have to go for approvals through BPW to use monies from this fund. That's why we're coming to you guys with it. My guys and some of the street department workers have asbestos workers licenses, and these are all the safety materials that we need to replenish the trailer that we have to do the work. If they run into an asbestos pipe out on the roads, they cut it, they cut it, cover it with plastic, duct tape, and all that. And this also includes the respirators that are needed to do this.
Any questions or comments?
I'm just out of curiosity, how many folks now, because you have to have a certification for asbestos disposal, right?
Yes.
And how many folks on the,
Including myself and Kerry Converse, my environmental engineer, I think we have 6 or 7 here at the landfill and 1 or 2 at the street department that are certified.
Okay, great, thank you.
Ms. Photo, could you call the roll?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Motion passes. We next have an informational item, which does not require action, but it is a thank you letter praising John Narrow of the Solid Waste for his exceptional performance of his duties. So Thank you. It's always nice to get a thank you letter, and Mr. Nero should be congratulated for doing a good job.
It's nice to hear.
Absolutely.
We'll move on now to engineering.
I'll move to approve the residential and wastewater service permits and fees as submitted.
Any questions or comments? Photo?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. We're now on to item B. Mr. Hudson is here and is, I'm sure, able to address this.
I'll move to
We need a
approve the,
motion. Let's do the motion first, sorry.
okay. I'll move to approve the hardship request from Liberty Utilities for excavation to repair 2 grade 2 leaks located at 10 Manchester Street and the Cody Ave/Chapman Street intersection.
Thank you. So Dan Hudson, city engineer. The request is from Liberty Utilities as noted, 2 different locations, 10 Manchester Street and Cody Ave Chapman intersection. A grade 2 leak, so as explained previously, they need to be repaired within 6 months and in the same calendar year as they're discovered. Manchester Street was paved in 2015, so that's almost out of the moratorium, not quite. And Cody Ave Chapman Street was paved in 2018. These 2 separate excavations are estimated to be 4 foot wide by 8 foot long, and then they, if approved, they would make the required improvements in accordance with the moratorium requirements.
Any questions or comments? All right, Director Photo?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty, Commissioner Moriarty. I think he's still here. Did we lose him?
Yeah, his internet
Oh,
connection's
his
lagging.
internet can say, okay, I'll just move to Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Okay, let's see if, yeah, it looks like his connection is a little bit off.
All right, well, Commissioner, we have a majority
Yes,
for the motion, which passes, and hopefully Commissioner Moriarty will be able to join us soon. We don't know
Okay.
when.
All right.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the award of the FY20 pavement marking contracts to Highway Safety Systems, Inc. of Rockland, Mass. in an amount of $248,570. Funding for this department is 161 Streets Fund General and prior year escrow, account classification 54 other services.
Oh, Commissioner Moriarty is back. The
Yeah, I'm
only thing-
sorry. I don't know what happened. It got disconnected somehow.
The only thing that happened, Commissioner Moriarty, is that we approved the item B under engineering.
Thank you.
We didn't know when you were coming back. We kept our fingers crossed. All right, so now there is a motion on item A in the street department. Is Mr. Ibarra here?
he is. You're on mute, John.
Boy, gotta love it. Hello. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can hear you. Yeah.
we can hear you now.
Okay, so you'd like an explanation?
Yes, that'd be
This
great.
is the awarding of the annual pavement markings contract. So we've been contracted with Highway Safety since 2014, and they were going to raise their prices. The last change order, they agreed to hold their prices till this June. So we had to go out to bid. As luck would have it, they were the only outfit that bid on the contract. So this is for all our long lines, our crosswalks, stop bars, our turn lanes and symbols, and any thermoplastic that we put down. Any questions?
It's nice to have, I think we've really focused on this, and it is really nice to have these, to keep up with these items, you know, crosswalks in particular, and I think it's important. I just remembered, Director, there was one crossbar that did, or stop bar that was requested, I think it was on Concord in, do you remember that? It was up on Concord, and there was the cross street there, right where it meets the Henry Burke Highway.
I'm not sure, Commissioner. How, was this a while ago or recently?
This was a while ago, and we
Okay.
had just paved the street, and we thought, oh, we're going to keep right up to it. But if you're going to take a left onto the Henry Burke, there's a street right off of Academy Drive. I think it's Academy.
Okay.
Because people are lining up to go to take it, they're either going straight on Concord Street into Merrimack, or they're going to take a left to go onto the Henry Burke, and it's a really busy intersection. So a lot of times people block so that people can't get in or out of that street. I think it's Academy Drive.
Okay. Are you concerned that it may not have been painted?
Oh, I know it didn't get painted, and
Okay.
it's one of those things where I keep thinking, oh, I got to send you an email, and I just thought of it now.
Okay. All right. Yeah. We will definitely get to that.
So, sorry to do that. It just I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I just didn't send the email out on it.
We'll get it on there.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a million.
No problem.
Anyone else? Director Photo, could you call the roll?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Motion passes. Item B.
I'll move to approve the purchase of 2 CMST 333 electronic message boards from American Signal Company of Atlanta, Georgia, for the total purchase price of $33,602. Funding will be through Department 161 Street Fund Grant Activity, GOVERR grant.
Mr. Ibarra?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So these 2 message boards would be in addition to the fleet. We currently have 4, and we place these citywide for various special events or during the winter months, alerting people to snow emergencies or parking bans. But when this COVID-19 came out, we ended up dedicating 2 of them down to Main Street when we did the expansion for the outdoor dining. So when this funding came available and we sat down and discussed what we could use, we thought this would be a great addition to the fleet. So it helps us get our messaging out more broadly across the city.
Discussion?
Yeah, we definitely need that. I think that more of those boards are not a bad thing at all, especially if it does not come from the tax funds, from the taxpayers fund, right? It was a grant.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing. Thank you.
Anyone else? Director Photo?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty. Oh, good.
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to wastewater. Item A.
I'll move to approve the purchase of the chemical sodium hypochlorite in the amount of $125,000 from Borden and Remington of Fall River, Mass. Funding will be through Department 169 Fund, wastewater account classification, 61 supplies and materials.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes, David Boucher, wastewater superintendent. The sodium hypochlorite is a chemical we add to disinfect our treated water before it's discharged to the river. This chemical is purchased through the Northeast Merrimack Valley Chemical Consortium, so it's through a bid process, and these guys were the low bidder. It's the company we used last year. It's a 1.5% increase over last year, but it's still a good cost. This will cover the annual cost of this chemical, and it's a chemical we add every day.
Discussion? Director Photo?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
yes,
Motion passes. Item B.
I'll move to approve the purchase of the chemical sodium bisulfate in the amount of $64,000 from JCI Jones Chemical of Sarasota, Florida. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater Fund, wastewater account classification 61, supplies and materials.
So this chemical is another one that we add daily. It was also being purchased through the same consortium through a bid process. We add this chemical to remove the sodium hypochlorite before it actually goes to the river, because we're not allowed to chlorinate the river. So this product comes in cheaper than last year's by 1.4%. Little savings. And this covers the costs of the annual purchase of this chemical. I'll take any questions.
Director Photo?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty, Commissioner Moriarty? No, I think he's having issues again. Commissioner Shoneman.
yes.
All right. Well, we are missing Commissioner Moriarty again as a result of internet problems, but we do have a 4-0 vote so far. Definitely a majority. So that motion passes. Hopefully, Commissioner Moriarty will be able to rejoin us soon. The next item is under administration, item A.
I'll move to approve the proposed changes to the rules and regulations for outdoor dining to allow the use of umbrellas and logos.
Any discussion?
Does
I don't know if there's anyone here to talk about this. I could talk about this if you want to hear. So up to now, for the past few years, number of years, umbrellas with logos, advertising logos were not allowed in the outdoor dining areas. As I'm sure you're all aware, and I'm sure you've observed it many times, we now have, and you approved it, or you were informed about it, reported about it. The outdoor dining areas have been significantly expanded, much larger than before, and there are many more outdoor tables. So many of the downtown restaurants that are taking advantage of the outdoor dining, the expanded outdoor dining, have asked, well, we'd like to get more umbrellas. If we allow logos, we can get those umbrellas for nothing. We can get them for free, and we've suffered some pretty hard times, so that would be a help. The Board of Aldermen and the Board of Public Works need to approve this. The Board of Aldermen, there's a resolution or an ordinance change that's proposed, that's sponsored by the vast majority of members of the Board of Aldermen, 10, 12. And therefore, we're here to propose this change, which would allow advertising logos on umbrellas on Main Street. As long as they don't, as long as the umbrellas remain within the areas that are allowed for the outdoor dining.
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Schoeneman.
What is the reason for not allowing the logos in the first place?
Well, I think it was an aesthetic choice. Some people, and I don't even know when that prohibition was imposed, probably when the outdoor dining was authorized, but I'm not sure. Some people felt that it would look better if there weren't advertising logos. I think that was the main reason.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just a small question. I was trying to find it in the package, but so I'll vote for this without a problem, but are we now changing it back? So in perpetuity, they're able to use logos on the umbrellas, or is it just during the pandemic?
This would be a permanent change, although of course it could be changed back. But the idea is it could be changed back.
Thank you.
I would say the chances that we would continue with the outdoor dining in the expanded areas beyond this season are pretty good.
Thank you.
Mary, if I could just add one more thing, the rules and regulations for outdoor dining for the commissioners that either don't remember or aren't aware were approved by the Board of Public Works on June 25th, 2015. And that was one of the conditions, that the umbrellas not contain any logos. So that would change the approval that took place on June 25th, 2015. So that would just be updated. I just wanted to make everyone aware that the rules and regulations for outdoor dining was approved by the Board of Public Works.
So was there a time period when logoed umbrellas were allowed? Because outdoor dining has been.
But yes, before that time, well, there was a little period of time before that they weren't allowed, but it was maybe 6 months before that or so, but not that long. But yes, they were allowed prior to that.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? Director Photo?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty. I think you're on mute, Commissioner Moriarty.
Yes.
Commissioner Schoeneman.
Yeah.
All right, all members have voted and the motion passes. We will now move on to item B, which are two informational items, budget transfers and also the director's report. The budget transfers, I think, are self-explanatory, so unless
Right.
anybody has any questions, we'll go to the director's report.
I think Lauren Byers is going to share her screen with that. Okay, great. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, the first slide, we had a military tribute banner ceremony on June 2nd. The video is on Facebook and I think on also on our website, if anybody wants to see it. It was, even though there were very few of us, it was a very touching ceremony. Featured on this slide is one of the heroes, one of our national heroes that was featured. His name is Paul J. Kaminsky. And it's sort of interesting when you look at the pictures and you see a little description of all of these people. You really sort of wonder, what their lives may have been like. We were able to, through Commissioner Pappas, we were able to get some information about Paul Kaminsky from his daughter, actually. So if everybody's okay, I'd like, and I haven't even discussed this with Commissioner Pappas, but I'm hoping it's okay to read this, Commissioner Pappas.
Absolutely. I think
the
family would be delighted. Yeah.
I think it's pretty neat to see what some of these people really served our community very well and really are our local heroes. And I know the families are really pleased with the banners. We've had a lot of feedback and I really have to thank Lauren Byers for all her work with this, because she put a lot of effort into this too. But this is a tribute written by Rosemary Rung, who is the daughter of Paul Kaminsky. She is also a New Hampshire state representative from Merrimack. So clearly public service runs in their family. But here's what she wrote. A lieutenant colonel retired Paul P. Kaminsky was not only the best husband and father we could have asked for, he was a consummate citizen of our great community of Nashua. As a man of deep faith, he served St. Patrick's Church as a Eucharistic minister, lector, and overall volunteer. It was common for him to go out late at night to pay for a motel room for a homeless family or to help his wife Lou in gathering food for the Nashua Soup Kitchen. Upon military retirement, he became a math professor at Nashua Community College. He was particularly dedicated to non-traditional students, single mothers trying to get an education, those with full-time minimum wage jobs, but who worked for an education, the opportunities it would provide. Paul tutored them, encouraged them, and celebrated each passing grade they worked so hard to earn. He was an officer that helped integrate the Air Force and mentor young Black officers. It wasn't until after his death that we learned that he was awarded this Distinguished Flying Cross. Here was the commendation that accompanied that award. Lieutenant Colonel Paul P. Kaminsky distinguished himself by extraordinary achievement while participating in aerial flight as an AC-119E navigator in Southeast Asia on December 19, 1971. On that date, Colonel Kaminsky and his crew were directed to perform reconnaissance and to attack targets along a heavily defended supply route. Despite intense and accurate anti-aircraft fire, Colonel Kaminsky exhibited superior airmanship and courage in locating and tracking targets, resulting in the damage and destruction of several hostile supply vehicles. The professional competence, aerial skill, and devotion to duty displayed by Colonel Kaminsky reflect great credit on himself and the United States Air Force. Distinguished Flying Cross awarded the 20th of June, 1972 by the President of the United States. So that's just sort of an interesting tribute to one of the heroes that we're displaying on the Broad Street Parkway. So thank you very much, Colonel Kaminsky, for your service to our country and our city. The 2020 paving program is in full swing. On the left, you'll see Sunshine Paving, reclaimed Birch Hill Drive, and on the right, Nacella, which is working on Winchester Street, reclaiming that street. They're a sub to Sunshine Paving. This is a picture of a catch basin installation. SUR West is installing catch basin and sewer pipe with a sewer service tie-in on Orange Street. And this is reconstruction. This is another sewer installation along Main Street, again by SUR West. This is near Mulberry Street. You can see all the existing utilities that they had to work around. It was a 150-year-old pipe that had collapsed. This is another picture of manhole maintenance on Main Street and Hollis Street intersection. This again, SUR West is performing the work. We are really pleased that we're able to at least offer a condensed summer camp program. And special thanks to Lauren Byers for the wonderful marketing piece that she developed. And by the way, all of these camps are pretty much full. So they started this week. So at least the kids have some opportunity. We made the incredibly difficult decision to not open our city pools for the season, thanks to public health, risk, emergency management, Sharon Lindner from the mayor's chief of staff for helping us make this very difficult decision. In the end, it was decided that there was just no way that we could maintain social distancing and open the pools. And so I was even there, Andy and Nick will tell you, I was there trying to figure out how we could make pods and keep people social distancing. And in the end, there was just no way. With our pools have the capacity of 240, an average 240 people, and even cutting that in half, it was just impossible to keep our residents safe. So that's why we made that decision. The Brew Fest has been canceled, unfortunately, for this year as well. That's a significant fundraiser for PAL. But hopefully we'll look forward to the following year. Good. For good news, the Silver Knights will be playing baseball, so there will be the opportunity to see baseball at Holman this summer. The Silver Knights are really a class act. They have put together an incredibly safe program. And they put a lot of time and effort into it. We were really impressed with what they put together, and it was approved by risk management again, and our health department and emergency management. So thank you to that team again for reviewing all of that. On Saturday, June 6th, there was a vigil at Greeley Park to promote social justice. About 1,200 people were at the vigil, and it was very peaceful and respectful. This shows pictures of the boat ramp. We are everything's almost completed. We hope that it's going to be done by at the latest July 15th. But I think some folks are already using it. This is a picture of Mine Falls Park. This is actually 3 weeks after renovation. The growing is going very well. The fields that were renovated were Mine Falls 1 through 6, Main Dunstable 1 through 5, and Charlotte Ave. We expect them back online for early to mid-August. We took advantage of the time that we had without people playing on the fields to rehabilitate them. And Haynes Street is also under renovation and will be offline for several months. So hats off to our Park and Rec employees for the great work that they're doing. On June 15th, we opened our playgrounds and signage was installed, reminding all users about how to play safely. We also have hand sanitizer stations that will be deployed very soon in all of the playgrounds. So residents can use hand sanitizer while there. This is a berm that was replaced on the left on Yarmouth Street. There were some flooding issues, so we milled along the edge and installed a berm to resolve that problem. And then on the right, we replaced also a berm on Hillsbury Road for similar reasons. And we have a sewer dig here and backfill on Water Street. Street crews assisted wastewater in locating a blockage in a sewer service and made a repair. This is our maintenance crews. our mechanics. Picture on the left is a state inspection on our sweeper. And on the right is a landfill side-by-side receiving routine servicing. So our mechanics have been very busy as well. Superintendent Boucher spoke earlier about our pump station upgrades. They're continuing at a rapid pace. On the left is Gill Street Pump Station. On the right is Fulton Street Pump Station. Both are nearly complete. This is just goes to show you what's involved. This is bypass pumping that's set up for the replacement of the Trestlebrook pump station that they'll be doing. And our energy recovery project is nearing completion finally. And we're just doing final punch list items like insulating the piping, as you can see here. The street department repaired some asphalt in the recycling area at the Fort Hills landfill. And we had an issue at the landfill a couple of weeks back. We had a fire. This happens from time to time, unfortunately, and it's usually from, and we want to remind folks, please do not, with campfire season here, do not put ashes, even if you think that they're completely out. Please do not put ashes in your trash. Please do not put lithium batteries or pool chemicals. Those are really the three things that cause the most problems. In this case, this was probably a lithium battery, just by the way it started, but it's very dangerous to our staff and very dangerous to our landfill. So please do refrain from putting those things in your trash. And unfortunately, this was our new cell. This is phase 3, but there was no damage. We had it inspected, and fortunately, we were able to get the fire out quickly, and there was no damage to the landfill. And thanks to our neighboring communities who responded, because we don't have, Nashua does not have a tanker truck. So, and there were no hydrants out there. So we're in the process, Superintendent LaFleur and I believe Assistant Director Patricia are working on putting some water tanks out near the phase 3 landfill in the event that this happens again. So we don't have to call on other communities to help us.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So the lithium batteries, the only ones I've seen are like the teeny tiny things that like are in like a bathroom scale and that sort of thing. Are you talking about a bigger battery, or can a tiny little battery like that?
A tiny little battery, Commissioner Pappas, can explode like that and start a fire. Yes, very dangerous.
Oh.
What happens is when the compactor rolls over it, it'll ignite. So, yeah. So, and they're small.
So if you have, I mean, a lot of times you can't really replace those little lithium batteries. So do you just bring the whole appliance to the landfill?
If you have anything with a lithium battery, bring it to the landfill, bring it to the scale house right now, and they'll take it there and dispose of it properly.
So one tiny little battery can cause that kind of damage?
Yes.
Wow, okay. I'm glad I asked. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me. I haven't thrown anything away like that, just to be clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then last, or I guess I have two more. The bulky item collection began on June 8th, so residents can call in and schedule for pickup of oversized items. And with the 4th of July this year falling on a Saturday, this year's weekly curbside collection, this week's curbside collection will follow a normal schedule. And the landfill and the recycling center will be closed on Saturday in honor of the 4th of July. But we will have normal hours on Friday.
And so there will be absolutely no interruption of curbside service either week?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it.
Any comments or questions regarding the director's report? All right. What the next item is, now we have the personnel item. It says non-public session, but like last time, since it is nearly impossible or impossible to go into non-public without broadcasting it and then come back, I think we should take this in an open session. There was one personnel item which seems to be not controversial.
Mhm.
Nothing negative I expect will be raised or anything like that. So if you don't mind, we'll take this in the public session. So the personnel, so we're now on personnel and we have item A.
I'll move to approve the selection contingent upon acceptable results of criminal and driving record checks and pre-employment drug test of Corey McCormick to the position of truck driver, street repair, street department. Starting salary for this position will be $22.41 per hour. Funding will be through Department 161 Streets Fund, General Account Classification, Salary and Wages.
So I met with, and Superintendent Ibarra, you can add to this if you'd like, but I met with Mr. McCormick, and he was a very nice young man. He really took a lot of pride in working hard. He was very excited at the possible opportunity to work for the city. He did a great job at Beltate's. All of his references checked out. He's excited about the opportunity for plowing and overtime. And so I think that when I spoke with him, he seemed to have a very good work ethic. So I think he'll be a good fit and a good addition as a truck driver for the street department.
I concur.
Anyone else? All right, Director Photo?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
Motion passes. We're now on to commissioners' comments. Do any of the commissioners have comments?
I do.
Please go ahead, Commissioner Pappas.
I have a few things. I think I have 3 items. So the first one, first off, I had gotten a email, I think the director did too, from someone regarding concern about wheelchair access on Main Street. And I know I always recognize that even though the Main Street project really belongs to economic development, that our director is always willing to roll up her sleeves and help out. And that the director was able to find a way to make downtown more accessible to those with wheelchairs. I did get an email from a constituent who actually has a walker and a cane, and they understand how difficult it can be to set things up on Main Street. And their comment was that it would really be helpful if we could put in more handicap parking on the side streets. Even if we meet the handicap law, I don't think that we want to exclude. I don't think we want to exclude portions of our population from our downtown. So this is someone who has some limited mobility, but it doesn't stop this person from getting out and really enjoying downtown, because it is quite safe. Outdoor venues are quite safe. And they had mentioned that the parking is very difficult, and it would be really helpful to have a couple of more handicap spaces on the side street.
I'll certainly pass that on to the parking department, Commissioner Pappas. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because it gives me the opportunity. today, I believe, today, Mike is sitting with me here in our conference room. Today, we opened up a number of areas with Jersey barriers where we could, where engineer Hudson was involved in this, determining the safety of this. So several of the Jersey barriers were opened on Main Street to allow for accessibility of people with disabilities. And there were, I think, 6 locations, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, where we have ordered ramps. So they will be able to access the outdoor dining, where it's not safe to open up the Jersey barriers. We're going to use ramps from the sidewalk on Main Street down into the outdoor dining areas. So they gain, folks with disabilities gained a lot of accessibility today. And once the ramps, we'll install the ramps immediately as soon as we receive them, and then they'll have full access to all of the outdoor dining.
So, Will, I don't, you may not have the answer to this. Would ramps be helpful? I'm just thinking if someone has like either a cane or a walker, it might be awkward to use the ramps. I don't know. I think it was more parking that this person had concerns about.
We'll look into the parking as well. Sure. I'm not that familiar with how many handicap spots, but I will talk to the parking department and let them know that their request was made and see if there's any opportunities to add some.
But I will tell you, thank you very much for, even as I said, even though I know it's kind of not our project, to stepping up, because the person was, very happy with the solution that you would come up with. So.
Okay, great.
All right. So the last thing I have, is for you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to preface it with that I have tremendous respect for our director, and what I often applaud and laud her for is to reaching out, and knowing when a job has to get done, even if it's another division, she'll just make sure it gets done. For example, we have seen huge improvements in the safety for our school kids and just snow clearing. As long as it, the only, obviously in the first block of the school, we can't do anything about that because it might be an AFSCME issue with the janitors. And she has done real tremendous work of, reaching across the aisle and helping out to make sure that downtown stuff gets done. And it's, I really wish that other departments and other divisions would be as helpful to reach out. And she only has control over her division, and I recognize that. She has control over her division budget. She has control over her employees, and that's it. And I fully understand that. So I wanted to preface it with that. So so, Mr. Mayor, that said, I disagree with the administrative decision to close the city pools. For the record, I believe in science and appreciate all the measures taken to contain the virus. Science tells us outside venues don't spread the virus like indoor venues. Chlorine also helps deter the spread of virus. We've opened all the private pools. It makes no sense to me why we actually have the infrastructure, the lifeguards in place, and where Manchester's opening the pools, and they didn't have the funding or the lifeguards in place, and they just opened they just voted to open 3 water venues. Nashua figured out how to get outdoor dining downtown in a real hurry, and I applaud that effort. The issue is downtown has a strong lobbying group, and I mean that as a compliment. By that I mean businesses, politicians, and residents. The problem is inner city kids don't have a lobby group. And so I'm trying to step out and fill that void. So here are some suggestions that I offer for pool opening. And as I had said in my preface of the statement, I think that we may need help beyond what Public Works can offer. Suggest, perhaps placing painting tape 6 feet apart for kids to lay their towels down. In order to accommodate more children, perhaps, so we can do less at once, maybe 2 hours at a time, say 11 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, to find money for staff to ensure kids have masks and are 6 feet apart when they're waiting in line. The city found $24,000 for dance parties and yoga classes. I think we should be able to find monies to help open the pools. Have employees working from home help. Have the staff from Arlington Street Family Center help out in dealing with kids' social distancing while they're waiting in lines. Ask outside organizations such as PAL or the United Way for help. They've been great advocates for our children. If other communities can figure out a way to open their pools, so should we. These kids have missed out on a lot. They deserve to get a quick dip in the pool, even if only for a couple of hours, even an hour and a half, even an hour. I think all that would be helpful. And I feel like, what's our battle cry going to be? Yes, we'll try, or no, we won't try. Your voices are unheard. We have camps open. Pools serve more kids than camps, and they also cover a broader social class. Additionally, pools are free. I implore you, please at least try to open the pool. And as I said, sometimes people who are always willing to help, to help other divisions, our director can't ask for the help because she is not the mayor. So I'm not taking a shot. I'm not taking a shot at her, to be clear. But those are my feelings. I feel if other communities are doing it, we should try. And we might say, this isn't working, we can't do it. But I just think it would be really sad if we don't just try. Thank you.
Well, of course, the decision on the pools was difficult because for the reasons that you mentioned, that kids rely on this, and it's recreation and a place where kids can cool off and have a good time during the summertime. Now, this decision was made in concert with Director Photo, as well as our public health department and others that have been dealing daily with the coronavirus pandemic. They're watching the science very closely. And it came down to the fact that, yes, outdoor is safer than indoor if, and this, I repeat the word if, there is social distancing. If people remain 6 feet apart, and especially if they wear masks as well. But in terms of determining how you would run a pool with a bunch of, now the pools have a capacity of 240 kids. So if you cut the pool, if you cut it 50%, you'd still have 120 kids in the pool. And public health and Public Works and the others realistically thought that it was not possible with small kids, teenagers, small kids, to enforce to make sure that kids stayed 6 feet apart in the pool, that it just would not work. Therefore, and then number two is, because we wouldn't be at full capacity, you would have kids outside waiting to come in. And the social distancing out there would also be probably impossible to require or enforce. And mask wearing outside, very, very difficult. Now, so the decision was made not because they don't have a lobbying group, but because we don't want coronavirus to get a foothold in Nashua. And so far, we've done very well with that. I mean, yes, Manchester is allowing the pools. I assume, the last word I got was that they were not allowing pools, but maybe they've made a recent decision. Maybe they've made a recent decision. Manchester has 3 times the cases that Nashua has right now. Now, I'm not saying that's due to anything that the city has done or not done. I'm just saying that another consideration was that kids don't come, by and large, the vast majority of kids do not come with parents. So there's no adult supervision except for the lifeguards. And except for the lifeguards, again, reinforcing the point that the kids aren't going to stay apart. It's the same problem, the reason that the school's closed, that you're just not going to be able to, well, it's one of the reasons that the schools have closed, and where they're considering sort of continuing remote learning, at least in some form, or some partial. That's one of the things they're considering. So when we were thinking about safety, we thought that we could run the camps and require the social distancing if we use the lifeguards to go and be at the camps to make sure that the kids stay apart. So it seemed realistic that with that additional staff, with that additional effort, we could open the camp. But I just remind you that, I mean, certainly you can question the decision for the reasons that you raised. And I'm not saying that having a good place for the kids to swim and have a good time during the summer is not important. It is very important, but safety I think, has to trump that. And we look to some of the states that, unlike New Hampshire and Massachusetts and other New England states that have been very cautious. We're looking right now in Florida, they opened the beaches. These are with adults. And look what happens. There's an explosion. And there you could expect adults to maybe stay apart. An explosion of cases, to the point where it could become like New York down there. I mean, they're running between 5,000 and 10,000 new cases a day. I think their height was 9, and today was like 5,000 or 6,000. In Texas, same thing. Austin has hit a point where they are just at a tipping point where they're not sure that their hospital capacity will be sufficient to accommodate, to care for, to take in all of the people that need hospitalization through coronavirus. And these are places where a lot of young people get together. So to think that so I guess in considering the welfare of the children, when it came to giving them a good time and giving them a place to exercise and cool off, which is important, versus their safety and the safety of the community, we made the rather difficult decision that we would allow the science, and I can tell you what public health said, unless you want to get rid of social distancing, you can't do it. So that was our public health department, and if anybody has done a good job, in addition to Ms. Photo, on the coronavirus epidemic, it is Bobby Bagley, Director of Public Health. Those were the factors which were discussed at length over and over again. And in addition, Lowell is definitely closed, as in Lawrence. We were concerned that we could get kids from out of town. Remember that anybody can go into those pools. Kids don't come with parents or with IDs. So we might get out of town kids coming in. And so that was another factor, creating a mob scene outside with a limited number of kids inside. So those are the things that led to the decision to keep the pools closed. Again, I'm not saying that what you've raised isn't important, and that certainly that was the issues that you've discussed were, we went over and over and over those issues, and for quite a while had made no decision, but recently, given the requirements of safety, given what we saw with the opening of the beaches has done in Florida, we made the difficult decision to weigh safety more heavily than the factors that you have, the valid factors which you have raised, valid reasons you have raised, and made the decision to keep the pools closed.
If I may, I don't disagree that Director Bagley's done a good job. But having worked with kids, I think that you can disperse them. I think at least to give it a try. And just one point of clarification, I think in Florida, those places that are opening, it's the bars, it's the 20-year-olds that's really, that is how it's spreading. And we do have indoor and outdoor dining and that sort of thing. And I'm just saying, if we were able to figure that out, and you say, if we limit it just for a couple of hours, even if we do for 90 minutes, and say this line has to disperse, and come back in 2 hours, 90 minutes. And I think if we had adults out there, as someone who has worked in education, I think if kids know the rules, they can follow the rules. And I think that we should at least try. And I guess I'll leave it that we'll agree to disagree. Thank you.
There was a lot of input from the people who work in the pools every year regarding whether they could really keep kids apart. I mean, the comparison with the beaches really has to do with the fact that those are adults and you can't even keep them apart. These are, elementary school kids, many of them. In any event,
private pools
yes.
are doing it.
Yes.
I just feel badly because if a family can afford a private pool, their kids can go for a swim, and those that can't, that's disturbing to me. That's all. Thank you.
And there are, of course, there's a pool next door. I see what's going on in my house. My neighbor has a pool. Yeah, they got 3 or 4 kids in a pretty big pool. They don't have 120 kids in there, or 240, or whatever we'd be accommodating. Now, the city pools certainly are bigger than over next door, but a family that owns a pool can control the situation a lot more easily than the city can control 120 or whatever number. Anyway, I think you understand the point. I understand your point. That's it.
Right, but I wasn't talking about people's personal pools at home. I was just talking about the private pools, the country clubs, the private pools.
Oh, well.
Because they do have a decent amount of people. But anyway.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We will probably discuss the issue again based upon your input. Any other commissioners' comments?
I also have a couple of comments.
Commissioner Schoeneman.
I want to say that, that I have a 3.5-year-old son, and Roby Park is one of his favorite places to go. And we went recently when it opened, and the improvements by the turf and the shade sails are inestimable. It's 100% better there. And I want to thank the people who are responsible, the people who donated money, and the people who got the job done to get the shade sails up and all the improvements at Roby Park. It really is tremendous, the difference it makes to have those things in place, and we really, really enjoyed it. We went on one of the very hot days last week, and being able to sit on the turf under a shade sail and not have to worry about the slides being burning hot was amazing. And my friends who also have young children have said the same. It's been tremendous, a big difference.
Well,
Having said that,
that's nice to hear.
yeah, it really is. It's wonderful. And having said that, we are extremely disappointed in the decision to keep the pools closed. I've been taking Isaac to the kiddie pool in Brayley Park since he was a little chubby, fuzzy-headed baby, and he loves it. And I have to keep explaining to him why it's not open. And of course, he doesn't get it, and I admit neither do I. I don't see a lot of evidence, or I don't see any evidence for child-to-child transmission in that venue. And I don't see any evidence that the opening of beaches necessarily has anything to do with the explosion of positive tests in Florida. I think that I agree completely with Commissioner Pappas, and she expressed it beautifully, that we could at least try. And you may find that the residents of Nashua will rise to the challenge of doing this well. I think that canceling the fireworks and closing the pools are sad. I think they've taken a lot from our community. And what I see from the public is that they're incredibly disappointed and a little bit angry that we can have a dance party on Main Street and yoga, but not a celebration of our country. It's a little confusing to me. A lot of people are shaking their heads going, what's going on? I don't have an answer for that, but I do know that there's a lot of disappointment over that decision. I understand your point, Mr. Mayor, the choices that have been made, so-called safety. But I would have to disagree with those decisions. And that's all I have to say.
Well, just a correction. The issue of the so-called dance party and the yoga, that's a possibility. There's no decision to go forward with any of that. And anybody who listened to the meeting or looked at the contract that involved, which was a contract with Great American Downtown and the discussion which occurred around it, it was very clear that the money was going for a much broader riverfront purpose than the possibility of dance parties or yoga. Those were things that were planned pre-COVID-19, but there's been no decision to proceed with any of that. So, and I think really the people who watched or read, I don't know if they're intentionally distorting that or not, but you should go back and look at the contract and watch the minutes and the discussion of what's really planned and what the purpose of that money really is. To the issue of the pools again on the 4th of July. 4th of July gets 25,000 people, and there are no fireworks in Manchester or Lowell, anywhere else. That was a decision that the police department was very involved in. How big an area do you cordon off? And then what about the streets that are right around it? I mean, there could be thousands of people congregating. And of course, it's easy to criticize these decisions, but what if we opened the pools or had fireworks and there were an outbreak? Then what? Who answers for that? The commissioners of public works? I don't think so. We're working for our neighbors, for our grandparents, for our friends, for our family members, to try to protect their lives. We've had 36 people in Nashua, 300 and some people in New Hampshire already die from COVID-19. A lot of them have contracted the disease and many that have contracted and have suffered significantly. One of them lives, Commissioner Schoeneman, a couple of blocks from here. I know we're in the same neighborhood. And that was a community spread. That was not a nursing home. That was not a community. That was community spread, meaning that person who spent 2 months on a respirator and then passed away, that person had no known contacts with anyone. Somehow he and his spouse got COVID-19 and he ended up dead. And his family is suffering for it. So we are trying to protect the community members, and it's easy to throw stones at these decisions. Oh, we should have the 4th of July. We should have pools. We should have everything. But if there were an outbreak, then who sort of answers for that, and who grieves with those families? Because that is a bad way to go. The person who died in our neighborhood, his family couldn't visit him for 2 months. Maybe they might have had one visit, and I think they had to go in almost with like hazardous chemical suits on to get into the room, because when a person is on a ventilator, they emit a lot of particles that can transmit the disease to someone else. So why don't you talk to someone who knows something about this? Why don't you talk to Bobby, especially on the 4th of July? Why don't you spend some time talking to public health and find out what the reasons are and what the risks are and what the downside would be if we made that call and it happened to be the wrong one? Would you talk to Public Works?
Health, you mean?
Public Health, excuse me. Would you talk to Public Health? Have you talked with them? Or the Board of Health or anyone like that?
I
Maybe we
attended the
should.
meeting on June 3rd. I think it's very clear how they feel about it.
Right. And it's pretty clear the way Dr. Fauci and a lot of others, medical experts, feel about it as well. And I know there's this kind of political thing that we're supposed to pretend this isn't going on to some degree, and we shouldn't wear masks and all that kind of stuff. I don't agree with that. I think safety comes number one, science comes number one, and protecting the members of the national community is the most important factor in all of the decisions we're making.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Commissioners' comments?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just to be clear, I never said open the pools, let it just happen. I'm just saying, let's try to take a look at a way to do it. Let's make sure these kids have masks while they're standing in line. I mean, as I said, my view is if things are done correctly, and I was in regards to the pool, and I do think that dining facilities are a lot more dangerous, but they are. You have decided to take a chance to follow the rules on that. That's fine. I'm just saying, give the kids a chance. Let's see if we can get outside people to help the social distancing while they're waiting in line, and make sure that there are extra masks if kids don't have masks. And if they go into the restrooms at the pools, make sure they have masks. So, I believe in
if the
science.
pools are open, we wouldn't open the rest. Let me just ask a question. What if there were an outbreak? Then what?
Well,
that's the way it goes.
You know what, Mr. Mayor? The restaurants are more dangerous than having pools at limited access. My point is, let's see if we can figure out a way to open the pools at limited access. And when I decided to raise this issue, when I decided to do it, I spoke with only people who I knew believe in the science, people that I knew that were older and had pre-existing conditions, and they think that the country's not necessarily handling it that great. But to me, if we're saying to downtown, okay, fine, you open up, which I think is great. I think it's good for people to be able to get out and to have it controlled. I have worked with kids, and I'm just saying, if we set down reasonable rules, we should give it a shot with the social distancing, with masks, and give it a try, so that the kids from the inner city whose parents don't have the money to go to a private pool or country club, that they might even get like an hour, 2 hours of a dip in the pool. That's what I was asking, and I had mentioned to put in spots for the social distancing. So I want to make clear that I'm not for any irresponsible type of opening. That's not who I am. And as I said, I very much appreciate steps that are taken. I have an underlying condition, and I do appreciate it. But I'm just saying, if we're allowing indoor dining, and you think that it's a responsible way to do it, then let's just give the pools a shot. So I'm just pointing out. I'm not just saying break the gates down, let the kids come in with no mask. That's not what I was advocating, and I want to make that clear. Thank you.
I'm also not advocating for opening the gates to a huge outbreak. Not that, we could ever say, oh, we opened the pool, look, we had an outbreak. That's not at all how it works. And I believe that public health would agree that it's not easy to understand this virus and how it moves. But we do know that children are generally
It's not what? I didn't hear that.
asymptomatic.
Public health would agree that it's not what?
It's not an easy virus to understand in some ways. What we do know, the evidence is there that children are generally asymptomatic, that they also don't suffer from this virus, with exceptions, of course. And I think if you look at the overall health of children, keeping them out of school, keeping them out of recreational opportunities, I think it's not healthy for children. But that's my opinion. I think we need to stay safe, and we need to protect our citizens. I think we need to help our elderly population keep themselves safe. But I think, like Commissioner Pappas, it would be nice to try.
Well, of course, what the science tells you is that, yeah, kids are often asymptomatic, although there are kids that are affected by this as well and who get a syndrome that's related to COVID-19 and can die as a result. The fact that the kids are asymptomatic is part of the problem. They go home, they've gone to a pool somewhere else, gotten the virus. They don't die from it, but their grandparents do, or their parents, or someone else. No one knows that they have the disease. So that's part of the issue. The issue is not that kids are obviously seniors are more vulnerable, but the disease can be communicated by someone of any age. And the asymptomatic, you've pointed out that kids can be asymptomatic. Yes, you're right. But they're the most dangerous ones because no one knows they've got it. So no one knows they should be careful. In any event, I think we've made our points pretty clearly. And, the community can judge whether the city's efforts with respect to COVID-19 have been effective or not. Any other commissioners' comments? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Could you please call the roll?
Mayor Donches,
Yes.
Commissioner Tease,
Yes.
Commissioner Pappas,
Yes.
Commissioner Moriarty,
Mute, Kevin, Doctor.
Yes.
Commissioner Shoneman.
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned at 3:39 p.m. Thank you.
Happy 4th of July.